Imagine losing $125 billion in just 1 year. That's not a nightmare. That's what happens to Britain after Brexit. But while Britain regrets cutting ties, an African nation just made a move that left Europe stunned. In December 2024, Ghana's president did something that could change the fate of an entire continent, and most people missed why it matters. But before I tell you why this move is sending shockwaves through Europe, let me tell you something that might shock you. Africa's richest man, worth $14 billion, once had to wait 3 days to get a visa to move into an African country where he had invested $600 million. Meanwhile, European tourists were walking right through those same borders. Does something seem wrong here? Well, stick with me, because for the next few minutes, you are going to see why Ghana's move could trigger the biggest economic shift of the 21st century. Let's talk about Brexit first, because this is crucial.
I profoundly regret the decision that this House has taken tonight. This is an issue of grave importance.
Britain is still struggling with $35 million every single day in trade loss, 6% drop in GDP, endless custom delays, and skyrocketing business costs. But here's what's fascinating. More than 70% of British people wanted Brexit, but now they are regretting.
If Brexit is a divorce, then we are the children of the divorce, and the process is a painful and troubling one.
They are calling it the biggest economic mistake that has ever happened in Britain. Why? Because they forgot what being together really meant. Now, let me show you why Ghana's move is different and arguably more revolutionary than anyone realizes. In 1957, Ghana's first president stands before his people and says something profound. The independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it is linked up with the total liberation of Africa. Fast forward to 2019, Ghana launches the Year of Return.
Don't care where you come from. As long as you're a black man, you're an African. Now,
before I tell you what happened next, what do you think brought more money to Ghana? A whole year of gold exports, or a single year of African descendants returning home? The results were staggering. Over 500,000 visitors, $3.3 billion in revenue, a 27% jump in international arrivals. And this was just from welcoming the African diaspora. The African diaspora is made up of about 350 million people. A community so large it would be the world's third largest country if it were to be considered a nation. But that was just a small taste of what was coming next. In December 2024, President Nana makes an announcement that changes everything. Ghana is opening its borders to all Africans, no visas needed. About a month ago, I made a video about Russia increasing the number of African countries that could go to Russia visa-free. Now Ghana has taken the lead in Africa to do the same. Now, if you haven't watched that video about Russia opening its borders to African nations, I'm going to pin it in the comment section. It was a very big move because while doing that research for that video, I discovered that no African country on the mainland of Africa had visa-free entry into Europe, but Russia was increasing visa-free entry for many other African countries. Now let's come back to Ghana. I can hear some of you saying, is it not the same Ghana whose currency was being devalued? Is this not the same Ghana that had border issue with its neighbor Burkina Faso? Why would they open their borders now? Meanwhile, they couldn't help Burkina Faso. To understand why this matters, we need to look at what people don't understand about Africa's roads and railways. And here's the shocking part. When colonizers built Africa's infrastructure, they built it as draining systems. Every major road, every railway line was designed to do one thing: get resources out of Africa. Perfect for extracting resources, but terrible for African trade. Now imagine living in a neighborhood where you can't visit your next door neighbor without going through the house of someone in town. Sounds crazy, right? But that's what's exactly happening in Africa. Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, needs visas to visit countries where he has created thousands of jobs, while European tourists can walk right in. But then there is hope. Look at East Africa. They started connecting their countries with new railways, new roads, and easier border crossings. The result, their economy is growing 37% faster than isolated African regions. New businesses are booming. Trade is easier than ever, and this is just from connecting a small part of Africa. Now imagine if this happened across all of Africa. 1.4 billion people connected. That's more than China. 55 countries trading freely. The world's largest single market, and Ghana just took the first step to making this happen. Now let's talk about what happens when African countries actually connect. Rwanda did this a few years ago. They gave visa-free access to all African countries. And look what happened. Rwanda became Africa's second best country for doing business. Tourism exploded by 300%. Major tech companies rushed in, and remember, Rwanda doesn't even have a coastline or a major natural resource. Now imagine what Ghana, with its ports, its coastline, and resources could achieve. Now here's where the Brexit story gets really interesting. Britain is struggling with endless paperwork at borders, losing billions of dollars in trade, while at the exact same time, Ghana is doing the opposite, opening borders, removing trade barriers, making businesses easier, positioning itself as Africa's gateway. So ask yourself, if dividing Europe hurt Britain so much, what could connecting Africa do for the continent? Now let's talk about those fears that people have. Some Ghanaians say immigrants are going to bring a lot of crime. They are going to take away their jobs. But here's what they are missing. Western African countries have had visa-free entry into Ghana for years. Did it lead to chaos? No. And remember, the most populated country in Africa is just beside Ghana. Did it lead to heavy influx of immigrants? No. Did it actually cause chaos? The answer is no. Did it increase crime? The answer is no. Did it destroy jobs? You have the answer. No. Instead, it created opportunities. What we are watching is historic. When Britain chose Brexit, they didn't know what they were losing until it was gone. But Africa knows exactly what it's missing, because it has truly never been connected before until now. If you want to know how moves like this reshape the global power dynamics, join our strategic community. Hit subscribe and let me know in the comment section which African country will be the next to open its borders. Your insights in the comment section help make these analyses even better. And speaking of power moves, our next analysis reveals how East Africa's recent oil discovery could shift global energy politics. Trust me, you won't want to miss that one.